Well, for now, though, plenty more to discuss on Russia's unbelievable run in this competition. So let's get out to my colleague Alex Thomas, who is alongside global football journalist Guillem Balague and Russian journalist Robert Ustian in Moscow. Alex, over to you.
Christina, there are no players in the remaining 12 teams of this World Cup who have even played in a World Cup final, let alone won this famous trophy. That is how much of a shock Russia pulled off against Spain. History's going to be made here no matter what happens. And I'm going to start with Robert, because there are going to be a few Russians who've had quite a drunken night's sleep, it's fair to say. The celebration started with the team in the dressing room at the Luzhniki. We had the Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev going in there as well. Does it feel just as historic the next day as it did when we spoke to you immediately after the match?
No, I think now it feels like historic when you realize what happened, because there, when you go out of the stadium, you feel it's like a dream. You know, you wait that somebody wakes you up, say, "Hey, Robert," like, that's not true. I have never seen this country like that. This is like a feeling, I don't know, the last time...
In terms of the partying or the feeling of community spirit?
In terms of partying, in terms of, like, getting out, like, there were hundreds of thousands of people in Moscow. And one important thing, Alex, you know, with our current laws, it's harder and harder to go into the streets to celebrate something. That's why people just went out and just threw all these passion and all this love to football. I didn't know that this country loves football that much, frankly.
But even if they loved football, there were many players, even in the Russian team, the lowest ranked side at this World Cup, that weren't household names even in this country. They're now rapidly becoming national heroes, none more so than the captain and the goalkeeper, Igor Akinfeev. Tell us about him. He's from the CSKA Moscow club that you've supported all your life.
Yeah.
Is this reward for him for having persevered?
Absolutely. I think Igor deserves this time, because let me give you a bit of a pretext what happened to this fantastic goalkeeper. First of all, he was to blame for very crucial mistakes during the last World Cup in the game against Tunisia and South Korea. We had horrible mistake of Akinfeev last Confederations Cup in the match against Mexico. He became almost a meme, you know. He couldn't keep his sheet clean for 43 consecutive matches in the Champions League. And everybody was joking, despite the fact that he's one of the greatest goalkeepers in the entire Russian history.
But he completely turned it around. He's not getting the blame anymore, unlike the Spanish players and many others. Who's the finger being pointed at back in Spain, Guillem? Real Madrid? Lopetegui? The Football Federation?
So the players couldn't beat Morocco, and not a very good Portugal, and a very bad Russia. But wonderful what football does to nations, you have to say that. The national coach, Hierro, it was a difficult challenge, but perhaps sometimes it's braver to say, I cannot do this. But he said, I can, and showed that he couldn't. The federation, the head of the federation, actually got rid of the manager 2 days before the World Cup started, when they keep talking about process and doing things little by little. Made no sense. The media expected much more. Perhaps we should just lower the expectations. Have I left anybody out?
You've covered all the bases.
I think we're all to blame.
We're going to show our viewers some of the statistics from the game. Russia they didn't try and hide the fact they played defensively. It was the only way they could win, and they did it. But as far as Spain are concerned, in that glorious period from 2008 to 2012, when they won 2 European Championships and became world champions, it didn't matter if teams played defensively against them. They managed to get through it. Not the same on Sunday. Is this the death of tiki-taka, the system of quick passes and retaining possession?
If you don't like a comedy, you go to the movie. Don't like a comedy, you say, never again I'm going to watch comedies, because this is a bad one, and comedies are no good anymore. It's a style. Passing is a style, but this is a bad representation of that style. Tiki-taka is the worst representation of possession football, which we used to do. But by the way, those 3 successful competitions followed by 3 very bad competitions. So we have stopped not so much playing badly, which we're playing very badly. We're not competing anymore. And that is partly to blame for the coach, the players, that they feel that just by passing the ball is enough. And as I said, the media perhaps took of pushed the team to actually lose the World Cup. We didn't come here to win. It was only the only possibility was to lose.
No Messi, no Ronaldo, no Germany, now no Spain. Does that accumulation of results have any impact on the mindset of Brazil and Belgium, the clear favourites later today, or indeed their opponents?
Only from the point of view of you cannot take anybody for granted. This is it. I mean, England cannot be thinking of the semi-finals. Brazil cannot be thinking who will meet in the final. This is about the game, because it's not about the best teams or the most famous teams or the most prestigious teams or the best players. It's about competing on the day. And that's the biggest lesson that football has always given us. Yesterday doesn't exist. It's about today.
Yeah, we're just over 2 hours away from kickoff between Brazil and Mexico at the Samara Arena. Later, Belgium against Japan. And you're wondering why we haven't asked Robert how far his beloved Russia can go. Now they've defied all expectations. It's because you're going to find out later in the show, aren't you, Christina?
We absolutely are, Alex, and I'm looking forward to a heated debate there with Robert and Guillem alongside you. But for now, thanks very much, guys, there from Moscow. And coming up next, get ready for a West Side story. The King is moving to Tinseltown, and we'll tell you what it means for LeBron, the LA Lakers and the NBA.
Anything's possible. Beat Team Spain, the first game against Portugal, everyone thought Spain were the best team footballing side at the World Cup. It just proves with a great defence, anything can happen.
I think it would be to the final.
I don't know. I think maybe semi-finals. Yeah.
Just quarterfinal. Semi-final. It's final point for Russia.
If they play like they're doing now, I think they're going too far.
Russia will win
Russia
the
will
World
win.
Cup, yeah.
Yes, World Cup.
So easy win, yeah.
World Cup will be our.
Russia to reach the semi-finals, Russia to win the World Cup. I bet you never thought we'd hear that at the start of the tournament. But after beating Spain, the hosts have achieved what Germany, Argentina and Portugal all could not: a spot in the quarterfinals. So our question on today's On the Spot is, how far can Russia go? We've been asking you on our CNN social media channels. There's also been a poll on our Twitter page. Currently, 58% of you think they will only go as far as the quarterfinals. Here are a couple of your comments. Kurt Busch wrote on Facebook, before the tournament, would have said round of 16. Now they've beaten Spain, are in the quarterfinals. They have surprised us so much at this World Cup that at this rate, they could make the semi-finals. But in all honesty, I think Croatia will end their run. Meanwhile, Abdullah Sani tweeted, they have overstayed in the tournament, and I strongly believe this is their pinnacle. Well, let's get some expert analysis now from Moscow. I'm rejoined by football journalist Guillem Balague and Russian journalist Robert Ustian. Guys, great to have you back with us on the spot. So I'm going to start by putting you on the spot, Guillem, as I love doing. How far can Russia go in this competition?
I was going to say that it's a rubbish team. I probably will say it at the end of this, but I've just heard from Robert that it has changed a little bit, the atmosphere in Moscow, that everybody's out, that they celebrate it. Football is a wonderful thing. It can do this for your nation. But they're a rubbish team. You are, aren't you?
Well, we saw
A rubbish
yesterday who is
team.
a rubbish team. I think, like on the table of Luzhniki Stadium, the score showed who is the rubbish team. I feel this pain. We lost so many years that I know how it feels when you lose.
You didn't shoot on goal in the whole game.
However, I think with my bravest predictions, I think Russia could do a semi-final. I will just rephrase the question. I think I have a small dream for this tournament.
No, a big
because that would be a small dream. Look, this tournament, this World Cup, turned to be a surreal thing for Russian nation, for the West. And I think we had a unique chance to know each other much better. I dream of England-Russia semi-final. And to use football and show the whole world once again, and finally, what football is all about. That we are completely out of politics and our personal friendship. I know there will be another English journalist standing here and might be saying that Russia is another bad team, but I really, after this time, don't care about the result. Russia has completed its mission by far, far more than I expected. But in terms of football, in terms of creating this atmosphere, that would be amazing.
Okay. All right, well, Robert, I agree with you. The World Cup is all about dreaming big. At this juncture, though, I just want to show you guys what the stats are saying on these odds, because the odds of them winning the tournament have actually dropped from 66 to 1 at the start of the tournament to now 22 to 1. That's according to odds checker Guillem. But according to the stats guys at Graceno Sports, they only have now a 6% chance of winning the competition. That's the lowest of all the quarterfinalists so far. But I hear you, Robert. I hear what you're saying, and I want to bring Guillem back in here because, Guillem, it's time to be a bit romantic, isn't it? I mean, we have seen a few surprises in the World Cup over the years. Why can't this be another one?
Two things. I'd particularly the one final, Russia-Japan. I would prefer an England-Brazil. That's romantic to me. That's football. Football should be played by the best teams. But yes, I hear all that, but I also see, and this is not a bit Spaniard talking, they did not shoot on goal in the whole game. They won by penalties. So you cannot expect to do it, to go far if you don't actually shoot on goal. When they attacked Spain, they didn't do it on purpose. They didn't have a proper idea of what they wanted to do. So,
well, and I think that should be very painful after talking all this and still losing. Like, what bad team that should be if you are playing against a team that doesn't shoot, scores you only with a penalty, and then you lose. Like, what a pitiful Spain we had in this tournament.
And that's absolutely true.
And then you have all these things telling us here.
True.
Well, I thank you both for a very heated on the spot today. And I have to say, Guillem, I'm with Robert on this one. It's time to dream big in this World Cup. Thank you both there for joining us from Moscow. And don't forget, you can join the conversation using the hashtag CNN World Sport. We'll continue the show in just a moment. Stay with us.